Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance Perspectives podcast. This is part one of our series on ClientCircle. On today's show, we have Donna Cowart
Hello.
and Torey Maerz.
Hi, everyone.
I very much look forward to giving Donna a full introduction in part two of this series next week. As a sneak peek, Donna is Senior Vice President of Marketing and Operations for Cowart Insurance Agency in Georgia, with more experience in the insurance industry than Torey and I combined. Honestly, we're just getting through this talk with Torey as an excuse to talk to Donna. I'm kidding, of course. The focus for today's episode is my good friend, Torey. Torey is CEO and co-founder of ClientCircle, which some may know as Rocket Referrals. Torey's background is central to the origins of ClientCircle, so I'm going to skip my normal introduction process in favor of an anecdote. ClientCircle, simply put, makes the best and sources the best t-shirts in the business. Torey has told the story behind this on other podcasts. I believe he tells it on the Insurance Guys podcast, and we'll put a link in the show notes. This factors into my life because I was once gifted a set of leftover Made for Insurance shirts, one of ClientCircle's classic shirts, after a HawkSoft user group national conference. And I think maybe one of them was the right size for me, but the others were perfect for my wife. And these shirts are now among her favorite to wear, to the point where Dana asked me to explain precisely what ClientCircle does, because people would ask, like, what is this shirt about? And Dana wanted to be able to kind of talk with authority about it. And I'm actually foregoing my normal collared shirt approach for these interviews for a cozy ClientCircle hoodie. I swear you're a software company, right? Not a clothing brand. But sincerely, I'm excited for today's episode. ClientCircle has been one of HawkSoft's longest and best partners. Torey pushes us in a lot of great directions and has kind of been a very important collaborator as HawkSoft has grown our partnership program. I'm looking very much forward to diving into our partner questions today. We like to set the stage and shut myself up by asking for the elevator pitch for ClientCircle. So Torey, would you mind starting us off by just letting us know what are the key areas or workflows that ClientCircle enables for an agency?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you very, very much for having me. And Donna, it's awesome to kind of share this time with you. So I really appreciate it. Looking forward to chatting more. So the elevator pitch for ClientCircle is really everything. You know, we know that the client relationship doesn't start as they come to your website and end, when your policy is done. It really is a full circle experience. And that's what we're trying to bring to the table is one platform that you can use to help get more customers, keep customers longer, and then also win them back. And we want to just make it as easy as possible through automation and having things set up and ready to go for you. And we do all that by joining podcasts like this, getting feedback from agents and listening to people like Donna and getting to learn more about how agencies work today and try and incorporate that to build new and different tools. So, we're always releasing something new to go about solving a problem in a little bit different way. And that's one of the most exciting things about, what I do.
Excellent. And we've had a lot of conversations about the power of someone's story in how they understand the business they work with, the people they work with, and, the companies they choose to partner with. So our first question to every partner is, why does your company exist? And put a slightly different way, what is the reason for participating in the independent agency channel?
Oh, this is a fun question. I love the way that you asked this as well. Why we exist is because, quite simply, my brother Carl and I wanted to do something great. And we were both in, companies or positions at the time. We have always been entrepreneurs. We always, as kids, we sold, water on the street. It was like we were always doing little things. But as we grew up, he was in the army, and I remember talking with him he's stationed in Afghanistan, and I'm talking to him, in the US. And we were talking about how we're both in organizations that we came into it wanting to make a difference. And to some extent, we did. We made a difference at the companies, and Carl did in the army that he was at. But we felt like we needed to have a little bit more um, ability to spread our wings and to do something else. And we decided that we wanted to show people how to grow a big company and do it the right way, to take care of employees, to have a great product, and to have great customer service. And that was really exciting to us. So we thought, okay, this time around, let's go find a problem and then build a solution to it. I mean, it's like the simplest thing, right? That you want to go find something that you can actually build to solve an existing problem that people already have. And so we talked with a lot of independent insurance agents here in the Des Moines area where I'm based. I remember sitting across the table from one of the agents, and his name was Brad. And Brad's, I'm telling him all these things that he should automate and all the things that he should do to improve customer service and build better word of mouth. And he leans back in his chair and he goes, Torey, I just want to sell insurance. And so at that moment, I knew at that moment that if I wanted to help Brad, and if I wanted to help Brad's customers, because Brad was a great agent and could bring great customer service to them and help them, then we needed to automate it. We needed to make it so easy that all he had to do was import his data and the rest would happen. And so that's where Rocket Referrals came from. And it was a series of like 13 pieces of communication that were all automated, pre-configured, ready to go. And, over time we just kind of grew. So I had to tell the full story and why insurance to be able to really truly answer that.
No, and I appreciate that. And something that I have always enjoyed about our interactions is you've built a company that is very existing problem driven. You look to the future, but at the same time, you're not, like you mentioned, you're not generating a problem to sell a product.
Yeah.
You're at a stage now where you're really anticipating where the market's going and trying to address kind of the nascent problems that are creeping up. But you've never, in our interactions, you've never been a company or a leader of a company that is like manufacturing issues. So I think it's a really important thing for listeners to understand when talking with anyone, and I would even include a HawkSoft salesperson in this. Are they talking about real pain points, or are they generating issues that you don't have? Because that's really important.
Yeah, totally agree.
With that, let's explore maybe some of those pain points that you're solving. HawkSoft, often when we are talking to an agency about management systems, we're very frank and honest, and we say 80% of the features between us and anyone else in the space, there's going to be overlap, and then where the real differentiation comes is this 20% that is our unique approach to things, our way of doing business. So the second question we ask all of our partners, we want to uncover this differentiation. If you had to pick one aspect of ClientCircle that draws in and keeps customers, what would that be?
I think it's our people. I think that if you look at the reviews of our company, and if I talk to customers and I ask them that, what do you love the most about, our company, it's the people. I have an amazing customer service team. I have an amazing sales team, and I love them all. And I think that really, they also love our customers, and don't think of them as customers, really think of them as colleagues sometimes. Because when you're talking to our account management team, they take your business personally and want to really help improve things. And the advice that they give is to help improve, but it doesn't need to be taken all the time. They don't get upset, so it's just one of those things. I think is the people. if I have to pick a feature of our system, I think that people love, um, it kind of reminds me of the time that we turned Rocket Referrals on in the very first agency for the first time. I had my fingers crossed that everything was going to work the way that it was supposed to work. And um, the first NPS survey results start coming in, and I see all of these huge smiles on their faces because it's a compliment to them and one of the agencies, one of the agents at the business. And um, I knew that asking people what they thought of the agency was going to help improve referrals and all of these other things, which it did. But what I didn't think of at the time was how um, great of a morale booster that would be internally. Because a lot of times, um, the team at the agency wasn't getting the praise all that they really deserve from the customers, right? Like you might get it, hey, good job on this, you know, your agency owner and the rest of the team might give you a pat on the back, but really they're there serving the customers all the time, and they're making sacrifices in their time to really put in the extra effort to make them better. And then when the customers actually say, hey, thank you for this, you're doing a great job, it meant so much to them. And I think that feedback is sort of addictive, you know, like
Yeah.
it's something that, I mean, for a good reason. I think that people need to have that stuff. So that's one of our most popular features for sure.
Yeah.
Kenny, I would agree with Torey. The positive feedback is tremendous.
Yeah, I think
Our
that,
agents really love it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Because sometimes, in a lot of times, and another reason I'm bringing it up is because a lot of times we focus on the negative feedback from a retention standpoint. When someone says something negative, you know, you can retain that. But the positive feedback is what keeps that agent and that customer service rep doing what they're doing on a regular basis.
Exactly.
And when you have an upset customer, you can say, look, that's not always the way that it is, because most of the time that's all you hear about. And they're the ones that are upset are generally the loudest. But when you can balance that out with a lot of the positive feedback, I think it makes the agency more effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've made this observation on the podcast before in a prior episode, but when I'm having a bad day, you know, talking with Torey about a problem that I can't solve, or getting beat up by some other partner, I call an agent. So, or I try and look through my inbox for a problem I can solve for an agency. Because it's nice to see that feedback. And it is one of those things that I often try to remind our internal people about is, you know, squeaky wheels are often loud, and often they do need attention, but you don't really pay attention to the shopping cart that just rolls smoothly.
Right.
Donna, I saw you nodding when Torey was talking about his people. How has your experience been with the team at ClientCircle?
It's been phenomenal. Our account manager has done backflips for us. We had some change not long after we went with ClientCircle and staff. We lost a few long-term employees to retirement and everything, so we had to sort of put everything on hold for probably 90 to 120 days. And then she jumped right back in and helped me recreate everything and add new agents and basically redid the whole framework.
That's awesome. That's good
So
to hear.
I was onboarded twice, basically.
Thanks for sharing. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of them as well. I won this sweatshirt off of Matthew in a game of blackjack in Illinois when I saw him last.
I just have to ask,
story.
where are my shirts? Where are my shirts? I don't have a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently they're great, and I love royal blue, so.
We'll hook you up, Donna.
Sure. All right.
So this next question isn't going to be a huge surprise. Torey, you've been pulled into the dark room and put under the bright light with this question for HawkSoft before. For us and for the customers that we attract, the concept of data ownership and HawkSoft's belief that an agency owns the data that they cultivate and nurture, that's really important to our audience. And so we ask all of our partners, how does ClientCircle approach data ownership with regards to your customers?
Well, I totally agree with you. I think that we are really people that you're giving us your customer data to help to do something, to use it to communicate with them, but not for our own gain, right? I think that that's a really important thing these days. One of the things that we do with data is analyze it and give you recommendations on how you can improve. Now you own those results at the end, right? It's not like we're saying, hey, once you leave, you can't have this because it was in our system when we had it. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's not how we're ever going to make money. Like, we're not making money off of data, we're making money off of services, and that's why they call it software as a service. So I think that's a pretty simple one to me. Like, I don't understand why it would be any different. And if it is different, then I think you should really question that heavily.
Well, Torey, that's one of the main reasons we went with Rocket, or ClientCircle as it's known now. We onboarded with HawkSoft, I guess it was early 2021, over an 8-week period of time, and I had already decided what the rest of my tech stack was going to look like. And as I took the next year to really onboard with HawkSoft, because I didn't want the entire staff to just like pull their hair out and run screaming from the building, by changing everything up during the COVID years. So I had planned maybe 10, 12 months later, we were going to add a few more components to the tech stack. And I had chosen something else. But when I started really doing a deep dive on the data and what was being done with it, I mean, it quickly became a very easy decision to make that I needed to find something else. And that was a huge value add for me.
Cool.
I appreciate that perspective, and I really appreciate that as an agency, principal and someone guiding your organization, you took the time to explore those things, because I think that's I'm a huge fan of informed consent, and I think doing the due diligence is important, because a different agency might have come to a different conclusion. And I'm happy that ClientCircle was there to meet the needs you had for your data governance.
Right. And honestly, how many agents look at that?
Right.
In
a click
not a lot
form, right?
Right. And we all do it. I'm one that looks 10, 12, 15 steps ahead, and that can be a negative, I'll be honest. But, kind of having a roadmap of where we were going. I mean, I was frustrated with myself that I had not looked at that before, and I felt like I was starting over, trying to find something like ClientCircle.
Excellent. We're going to keep this dialogue rolling, because that is the point of the way we do our show. Is we like to have a partner representative and an agency representative so that they can have some honest, open, and transparent conversations. And so we're gonna test Donna's trust in ClientCircle here. Torey, you've had a long tenure working with independent agents. I would love to know your perspective on what is the hardest part of working with insurance agencies.
So I come from a tech background that's thinking really far ahead, and I think that this is not a hard thing to work with insurance agents, but I think it's just in the insurance industry. We're dealing with a lot of legacy systems. And I think that some of the times we're talking about tech issues that we should have been talking about 5-10 years ago. And so it can sort of be frustrating for me sometimes, who's like thinking about this, to have to go back and work on that. But what I remind myself is that that's what why we're here. We've got to kind of bring people along at the right pace without accelerating too quickly that we start to lose people. And so that's something that I think just overall in the industry that I struggle with sometimes. But I do think that it's getting better. It's like things are starting to accelerate a little bit more quickly. And, I'm just going to say, I think that we as an industry need to be integrating our data better together. And it's such a pain right now for agents and for us to be able to integrate with different services. And I see so much opportunity in this industry if we all realize that it's better for the industry if we can kind of come together on how we integrate and allow agents to use their data effectively, to be able to sell more policies, to get people to stay longer. And that's only going to benefit every partner. And I'm talking about like my competitors and everybody. Like we all need to kind of come together and say, hey, let's work together on integrations because it's going to be better for everybody. And then instead of innovating on better connections between systems, we can start to innovate on features and things and really catch up. And so the frustrations I have are not with agents, right? It's with all of the people that are running the technology in the insurance space. And the problem, I think, is that, there's not any one body or one group that can really drive change. And so it needs to be a collective effort of everybody to come together. And we've all got our own priorities and systems and things that we're working on. It's just a really difficult ship to move. Yeah, so the only thing I can do is just talk about that stuff, find a way to kind of bring it up in a podcast,
Yeah. Do you find that agents are understanding of that when you, because I imagine you don't.
Some are, some are,
not.
And some are not, right? I think that, we get put into the middle of the he said, she said game a lot. And, well, they said it's your problem. You say it's their problem. And at the end of the day, it's everyone's problem. That's the thing. And it's unfortunate because I think that the people that agents are competing with and the companies that agents are competing with have those things figured out, right? Your direct people, they've got all those systems that are super well connected and things. And so if we're not careful, we're really, shooting agents in the foot and not allowing them to progress. So we have to be thinking about these tools. And so what are people doing? I'm going to go on my soapbox here, Kenny.
Go for it.
So what are people doing? Well, we're building more all-in-one solutions, right? We're building more solutions that don't require a lot of data connections and things like that. But I don't think that that's the best thing for the industry either, because then you lock people in or you get people in one platform and then innovation starts to slow down, right? Yeah. Like you want to be able to have innovation happen in sort of micro sort of spots. Like, hey, there's this really cool tool and it's really easy to connect to all these things. And that one little thing might be able to have a massive impact. And so here's the thing, there's a lot of profit in having all-in-one tools and getting a bunch of people in that platform. And all of those all-in-one tools are using the fact that there's a problem in data connection to be able to get customers on the all-in-one tools. But that's not what truly is going to drive innovation. So it's an endless cycle, and the only thing we can do is talk about it and bring awareness to it.
I completely agree with you. And I think that HawkSoft has even had to do growth in this area. When I joined the company, we were very hot on the concept of horizontalization, which was starting to bring more things under our umbrella. And I've been very fortunate to find a receptive group of leadership that is more open to leveraging HawkSoft as like a spoke in the wheel. And then letting agencies connect into what they need to connect into. And we've had a lot of conversations about standards and connectivity and openness. By the time people are hearing this, HawkSoft should have publicly accessible documentation on our partner API. Our producer literally told all of us, but he was talking to me. He's like, don't say anything to date this episode. So it's only a date if our partners are listening, and because they are aware that just this morning we started sending out documentation on version 3 of our API. But I completely agree with you. I think that you ask 100 agencies how they do something, you're getting 101 workflows. You're getting 101 processes, and technology has to be flexible to meet those needs, and comfortable understanding that we might not be everything that an agency needs, so therefore we have to be able to integrate. And each piece of the tech stack has to match the unique way that agency does business, or that agency wants to handle their data governance, wants to handle their security, wants to handle the interactions they have with customers. So yeah, I know we've talked about this a lot, so you're effectively preaching to the choir here. But for listeners, this is why I really enjoy talking with Torey, because we get into these types of conversations.
Well, from an agent's perspective, HawkSoft is amazingly easy with the integration. You guys have gone out of your way to make it easy for us. I think we're integrated with maybe 4 different partners at this point. And at the beginning of this journey, when we converted our legacy system to HawkSoft, I don't know that I would have said that I would have been integrated with 4 people within just a short amount of time. And it's from the back end, HawkSoft has made it very easy, where it's just click a few things and agree to certain things, and the API just sort of functions. It just works.
Yep.
And for those of us that are on the sales end, that's wonderful. We don't want to spend our time on technology. And most agents don't have that background.
Yeah. And so for the agents that are listening, what Kenny said about having the open documentation for their API is a huge step, forward, because, we really, as a partner, and as somebody who's creating software for a particular platform, we need to have quick, easy access to see what's possible. How can we work with this tool? And having it be publicly available means it's available for everyone. And whether or not you have access to the API or not, it's really important to have that.
Absolutely. We're going to circle back to this conversation, but I do want to ask our 5th and final partner question, which is generally meant to be the final piece of bread on the compliment sandwich after we do the hardest part. About working with insurance agencies. So Torey, I would love to know, what is the best part about working with insurance agencies?
So I think that every agent, even the ones that are have a lot of critical things to say, are willing to give us feedback and input and take time out of their day to improve things. This is a community of people. I mean, an independent insurance agent is all about serving community and being there and giving people choice and things. And I really admire what agents do in their communities and how they help, people. And I also think that translates into, hey, when I have a customer, they want to talk to us about how to make it better, not just for them, but for other agents using it. So the community aspect of insurance agents always is amazing. And I think that's definitely 100% my favorite thing. And honestly, that's how we got off the ground.
I completely agree. I think that is one of those things that just keeps me hooked to insurance technology, and to just the friends I've made in the industry, is how focused on community efforts they are, how focused on protecting their clients they are, and also just how willing to volunteer time to make things better in all those worlds. It's pretty awesome to see. I always think periodically, like, I should just open an agency. I think I'm better on the technology side, but it is one of those things.
You're hired.
Like, yeah. If I need a backup plan. So those are our partner questions, and we always like to end with a little bridge to incentivize folks to tune in next week when we dive into the agency side and Donna's perspective on ClientCircle. I'm going to ask, how does ClientCircle work with HawkSoft? But I want to preface it with an observation. I'm trying to remember if I even gave my own introduction at the beginning of this. Probably did. But I oversee HawkSoft's integrations, which means that I've been working with Torey for probably 4 to 5 years at this point, as they've been an API partner with HawkSoft. And It is not because I am constantly bribed, not constantly, I'm periodically bribed with some great apparel and notebooks, stickers, cat beds. But I do want to say and make the observation as HawkSoft's third ranking expert on our API, ClientCircle has some of the best integration into our system. And I judge that based on flexibility and the intake of data, what can be done with the data, what can be sent back to us, what is the flexibility of what can be sent back to us. I am obviously not an impartial observationalist of this, but from my vantage point of seeing all of our integration and how it's done, I do want to just make the observation that Torey and his team really go above and beyond when it comes to exploring what is possible in our API. So with that praise and setting you up that way, how does ClientCircle work with HawkSoft?
Is this one for me, Kenny?
Yeah,
Right?
both, totally.
Okay. Thank you, first of all, for mentioning the flexibility standpoint. And I think that one of the reasons that we have that all the different options and choices to be able to figure out how to import data is because we were using ClientCircle with HawkSoft agents before you had an API, right? So we built file imports, and my customer service team, my account managers, they knew all of the nuances with every single customer. It's like, okay, well, this file needs to have this customer does this. And so when we built the integration, we compiled all of that input and we said, okay, well, we've got to have these 40 switches to be able to turn on and make it work for all of these existing people. So we kind of had an advantage of being able to import, all of that prior knowledge. But I think one of the things that I love to do is stretch the boundaries, stretch the limits a little bit. And that's where Sidecar came from. Literally one day it just kind of hit me like, oh my gosh, we could do this thing where we have a tool that's monitoring what is on the screen and being able to show you extra details from ClientCircle on there. And so it's really just become this thing of like, how far can we stretch it? We want to take it to the next level, and your platform allows us to do that. So I really appreciate your input and feedback and, ability to kind of brainstorm and let us try and break things every once in a while. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. ClientCircle is a two-way API partner with HawkSoft, which means that they can read client policy data out of the system, including contact information for running their NPS surveys and other outreach campaigns. And then they can document that back into the system. They go even further with Sidecar, an app that sits next to HawkSoft and displays ClientCircle information alongside your client files, which one day Torey just called me up and said, hey, I want to show you something. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do this. And I think I nearly fell out of my chair just with how impressive it was. We are going to dive into more practical examples of how ClientCircle is used in an agency next week when we come back and interview Donna. Thank you for watching today's episode. Click the video description below to learn more about our guests and to view the latest podcast episode as well as other content from HawkSoft. We appreciate you watching and hope you join us next time on the Insurance Perspectives podcast. Thank you.